Into our speaker for today, and Rob, you should know, but Denny told you, sometimes you can use your Rotary nickname, which for you would be 073, and so that's how I'll refer to you in the future. Today's speaker is Dick Nichols, who was inducted into the Olympia High School Alumni Hall of Fame in 2006, which is quite an honor since he graduated from Shelton High School in 1954. He is a UW communications major and preceded Steve Bean. He then went to Moses Lake in Centralia, where he was after being a UPI staff writer, and then was a radio station director in those two cities, and came to Olympia in 1962 as a sports writer and editor. There was a bit of a time in Vancouver, Washington with Alcoa, and Dick came then back to Olympia, where he was the first director at Evergreen of college relations. And the college owes a great deal to Dick for the good work that he did. His flat top at that time stood out as a beacon of hope for the rest of the citizens in Olympia. Then on to Puget Power, which was a stepping stone to be a Thurston County Commissioner from 1992 to 1998. And over the last dozen years, Dick has served many parts of our community and received numerous awards and honors for that, also staying involved with politics and sports over that time. What you may not know, that's what the public image of Dick is. He's become interested in music, especially opera. He reads extensively. He's become a skilled bird watcher. And yet, I hear from impeccable sources he's a picky eater devoted to canned green beans and frozen peas and corn. And luckily, we had frozen corn for lunch. Throughout all of this, Dick has remained the voice of high school sports, but more importantly, he has become and remained the heart of these sports in terms of what he represents to our community. Dick Nichols.
Thank you, Oscar, I think. No, the Shelton High School Hall of Fame is actually the correction center, and that's where most of us were, but I got out of that one. But, I did spend the 3 toughest years of my life in Shelton. That was the 2nd grade, but I finally got out of that too. Andy Crow is a treasure. I got to say this. He really is. Not only did the duplex he sold me many years ago not fall down around my renter's ears, but the house I bought from him, I mean, it didn't fall down around my ears, but Andy is everywhere. Organ music, piano music, he just is a treasure. Thank you, Andy. Really enjoy you. Congratulations to the Rotary Clubs for a great spaghetti bowl feed. I'm sure it was successful. There were a lot of people there last Friday night, and the ones that stuck around saw a tremendous high school football game afterwards. And if I may, before I go into a little bit on high school football, I love programs like this one because the season started 2 weeks ago, and it's a lot easier to predict what's going to happen than it was 2 weeks ago. But if I could for just a second, yesterday was, as it's been noted before today, the anniversary of the 9/11 assault on America. I had a thought about that, and that is, a year ago, a little more than that, Frank Hensley and John Halverson, my 2 traveling companions, and I went back to Washington, D.C., visited and got a car and went out and visited several Civil War battlefields. We saw really some sights of horrendous carnage, Antietam, Bull Run, Gettysburg, the horror of Fredericksburg, Wilderness, Chancellorsville, Spotsylvania, Richmond, Cold Harbor, all of this within probably 80 miles of Washington, D.C. And in the end, we went to Appomattox, where they signed the surrender. So that was then. And then this year, in my late life Discovery America thing that I've been doing to understand my citizenship, I had the great honor and to fulfill one of my life's ambitions, and that was to go to Omaha Beach at Normandy. And I cried. And when they played taps at the American Cemetery, we were all crying. It was a very, very emotional experience. And I was 5 years old when World War II broke out. And from that time until 5 years later, that's all I really knew. But what I did know then was how much I loved this country and how great we all thought we were. And we were right and they were wrong, and we were together, and we were rationing paper, and we were rationing lard, and we weren't buying gasoline, and we were sacrificing because we believed that we were doing something right. And I'm getting somewhere with this, and I contrast that with the Civil War, when we were tearing ourselves apart with brother killing brother and neighbor killing neighbor, 630,000 casualties, some by the war, some by pneumonia and all of that, but nonetheless attributable to the war. And so I look at those two things, and then I think about 9/11 and the immediate aftermath and the reaction to it, and how we were all together. And now, 10 years later, I watch what's going on in our political system, and we've really lost our memory. So for me, the day after the anniversary of 9/11, the plea that I would make to any American is, remember what you are and who you are. We are Americans. We are in this together. And if we really truly want to honor those who fell at 9/11, we need to remember that and put this place back together. So that's my thought about 9/11. Now with the fun and games. High school football. I really enjoy broadcasting. It's just a lot of fun to just talk about fun and games. And there are so many more things in life that are really cosmically more important than that. But it's entertaining. People in America like sports, and people in our community are very supportive of high school sports. And I think the value of the thing is for the kids to be able to participate on teams, to learn the good values that properly coached sports can teach young people. Goal setting, teamwork, loyalty, how to deal with adversity, because goodness knows there's enough of it, and also to learn how to be a winner. We tell people to be a good loser. A lot of people don't know how to be a good winner, how to achieve something and not be arrogant. But if you don't achieve, then put yourself back up on your feet and start all over again. So it's not just the games, but it's for high school sports an opportunity for kids to learn things that I think are truly valuable. And it's not just football, and it's not just for boys. If you ever go out and watch a girls' volleyball match sometime, I love women's athletics. Because after every single point in a girls' volleyball match, they have a huddle and pat each other on the back, even if the other team scored. It's a tremendous thing to watch. And somebody is saying, let's do it that way. The good high school boys football teams are the same way. And so it's really nice to be associated with that and to be able to just kind of promote what these kids are doing and promote the fact that they have this terrific opportunity. So anyway, we have the season underway. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, we have in the immediate Olympia area, 7 high schools that play in 3 different leagues. One of them is the Narrows League 4A division. Olympia is in that. The 3A division includes Capital and Timberline, and also Yelm. Then the 2A Evergreen Conference is Tumwater, Black Hills, along with River Ridge and North Thurston, Centralia, Chehalis, and Aberdeen. And out of those leagues and the various classifications emerges the teams that get to go on into the state playoffs, and we award 6 state championships in football based on the size of schools. And so before the season started, and 2 weeks ago, I was telling the other Rotary Club, the West Olympia Rotary Club, and the Olympia Kiwanis Club, what I thought would happen during the season. And my comment was that I thought the Tumwater Thunderbirds, who won the state 2A championship a year ago, had a very good chance to do it again. And I was presenting a picture of near invincibility about the T-Birds, till I ran into Olympia in her first game and got just throttled. But then Tumwater bounced back last week and played much better. At that time, I was saying that I thought the Olympia Bears would be a contender in the 4A Narrows League again. It's remarkable. In the last 7 years, Olympia's record in league is 39 wins and 1 loss. And they won 6 championships and made it into the playoffs, and they haven't advanced in the playoffs. But they've been very successful, and they won their first 2 games. They beat a really good Tumwater team and really beat them badly. And then they beat Capital last Friday night in an extremely close and really well-played, well-behaved most of the way high school football game. It was truly outstanding in the Spaghetti Bowl. So the Bears are kind of vindicating my faith that they can be a league contender. Friday night they play South Kitsap, which has won overwhelmingly its first 2 games. And that game will be played at Ingersoll, and if you like high school football, that might be a good one to check out on Friday night. And then Olympia also is going to have to deal with Mount Tahoma, which is unbeaten, and also Bellarmine, which is unbeaten, and Bellarmine is the preseason favorite, and that game will be played in Tacoma in the mud, which I'm sure will be here by then, later in the season, and that might be advantage Olympia. Bellarmine, by the way, has an NFL prospect-type kid playing quarterback for him. This guy's really good. Sefu Leofau is his name. He's a big Samoan kid. He's about 6'3" and 215, a tremendous basketball player. He got a rocket for an arm. He can throw a very long ball just like that. It's beautiful. He can touch throw it. He can throw it to the sideline. He has good receivers, so they're a good football team. And Olympia's got his work cut out now with South Kitsap, Mount Tahoma, and Bellarmine coming. But I think the Bears are capable of playing with and beating any of those teams if they play well. Olympia's not very big, but they're really quick. Their best running back is probably out for the season, but they find ways to replace people, so they're doing really well, and I thought they probably would. I'll get back to Tumwater in a couple of minutes. Then I was also saying 2 weeks ago that the West Olympia Rotarians, who are kind of associated with Capital High School, shouldn't be despondent if the Cougars lose their first 3 or 4 games. They lost to O'Day. They lost to Olympia. They're playing the second-ranked team in the state at Lakewood Friday night. That's Lakes High School, and it's not likely Capital will beat them. Then they play Enumclaw here later this month, and Enumclaw is a really good football team. Capital may or may not win that game. But when they get done, then they go into their league, and I don't believe there's anyone in their league that can beat them, unless if they lose 3 and they get mentally down. But I don't think they will. I think they realize that they're rebuilding and that they'll have a pretty good football team. And if you win your league, you go to the state playoffs. And that's really their goal. So if you're a Capital fan, you start seeing the losses mount up. The wins are going to start pretty soon. And I don't really believe they'll probably lose a game in their league unless Timberline, which I thought was going to be a little better than it has been the first 2 weeks, unless Timberline gets a little bit better. It'll come down to those 2 teams, I'm pretty sure, but I think Capital, from the looks of things, will be pretty good by the time they get into their league. They have a really nice running back in Kai Van Sickle, who had 227 yards rushing against Olympia, and unfortunately was the guy that fumbled the ball on the Olympia 4-yard line and prevented Capital from probably winning the game. They could have taken a lead if they'd scored, although there was a